Hello guys, this is Pavel Oskarov from Laravel Daily Team and YouTube channel Laravel Business, and in this video we will try to create a job board together in live coding mode. Job board is a typical project as I see while browsing the Upwork for inspiration. There are quite a typical kind of type of projects. You can call them job boards, you can call them freelance management, HR platform. In other case, it's a what's it called? So job seeker and employer, and it's similar to Upwork itself. So there are two parts. So basically, employer and employee, or employer and candidate to get the job. So employer or business guy posts the job, and then candidates try to offer the conditions, the budget, the timeline, and stuff like that, and then the employer chooses. So let's try to create something like that. I have a few examples here. We won't get into details of those. We will just try to create the most simple things. So job seeker and employer, two things. And I always start from the database, from the structure, so it would be pretty clear. And here I am in my Sublime Text. I'm just making notes. So first I will start with our own QuickAdminPanel generator Laravel. I will generate these tables for like 5 minutes or so, and then I'll download the panel and we'll do custom coding with you together to basically finish the project. So on top of the default user fields, we will have about fields about the user, then countries, so countries list, and then user country, because it's really important where are you from in those job boards. Then we have a CRUD, a database table jobs, and then proposals. And basically that's it. There's not much to add in the most simple version of any job board. And you can also reuse that not only for jobs but for any marketplace. So basically I'm posting an ad for something and people are offering their services, something like that. And then we'll also need to register to install the register module. So let's begin. In our QuickAdminPanel, let's create a project, freelance platform, let's call it. With that, I will also show you how our generator works, but it's not, the goal of this video is not actually to advertise QuickAdminPanel, because it will be only like 5-minute slot to save time, and then we will live code after that. So new fields in so new field in users about. So let's edit the users CRUD, and let's add a field which is text area about. So like description about myself or something like that. No CK editor, save. Okay, yeah, that's it. We need to save the CRUD. Next, we need to do is create countries CRUD. So create menu item, and for countries we have a specific function to generate the countries list. Let's see if it works. We have a database. Do you want to create it for you? Yes. Okay. So countries, it's created automatically with countries list of all the world. And then in users, we can edit CRUD again and add country ID as a field, which probably should be required. So relationship belongs to relationship, country, and model countries. Country's name, validation is actually required. Save. For both required, for both employer and employee. So save that. Next step would be jobs CRUD. And we can actually, in QuickAdminPanel, we don't need to wait for that deployment to happen. We can continue working, and then that thing will be queued and launched in the background. So jobs. For jobs, what do we need? Employer, probably the first, like, who posted the job. So belongs to relationship, employer, required, model users name, that's it. Then candidate ID, who was chosen, and that is actually optional because it's not required from the beginning. So same candidate, optional, to the same user table, but it will be called candidate. Okay, save. Next, job title, job description, typical things. Title required, description will be text area, Description, optional. No, let's make it required as well. What else? Budget. What is your budget? And I prefer to get the budget as text field because it could be from to, it could be range, it could be different currency, it could be anything basically. Budget is also required. And files, additional files for attachments. Let's put file fields, attachments, and multiple files. Okay, delivery date and hired at. Okay, so delivery date is when do you need actually. Let's put a date picker, delivery date, or deadline in other words. So when do you need it by? Okay, delivery date, and then hired at, so when it was hired. So this will be put in automatically by the system, but still we need to create that field. Date time, hired at, and let's yes, let's hide it from everywhere. It will be just a hidden field. Okay, so we have a table jobs, and then we need proposals. Pretty similar actually. CRUD menu item, proposals. Job ID will be the first job, and then we need that job model required, then candidate ID. So who is proposing? It belongs to relationship candidate, users, required, save, then proposal text, let it be text area, proposal text, required, save, budget, also text, budget is optional, well, let's make it required. Delivery time, let's make it also text, because you never know, it could be a range, it could be a date, it could be anything. So delivery time, actually let's make both optional, and I can click here to change that because maybe it's in discussion, so there's no way to tell budget and time up front. Also files for attachments, maybe they want to attach their portfolio or something like that. So file, attachments, also multiple files. Okay, and approved add, and rejected add. There will be also hidden fields, but we need to create them. Approved add, optional, list, yes. Okay, so approved add or rejected add, and that's actually how I like to structure the approval process in general in projects. So I create not approved 10, but approved add with timestamp. It's much more useful. And same also approved or rejected. I want to know when it was approved or rejected. And instead of doing approved, rejected 10 and then timestamp, I create I create two timestamp fields, and probably that's it. So we save the CRUD, and then final thing we need to do before downloading and before coding is to install registration module for new candidates and new employers to register. User will require administrator approval. Let's skip those two and let's just install registration form. And I guess that's it for now. Next I will download the code, install it locally, and we will continue from there. Okay, I have downloaded the panel and installed it here with Composer install and Artisan Migrate Fresh. And we can log in with administrator. And now we will deal with roles and permissions. We will create roles that we need and we assign the permissions. So by default we have user management with roles and users. And in our case, we generate, the QuickAdminPanel generates 2 users, admin for everything, and then simple user. But in our case, we need a little different thing. So let's rename user to employer, and let's disable the country editing for them and proposals. So all they will see is the job access, job delete, job create, anything related to jobs. And then we will add another role called candidate, and it will be everything related to proposal. For every CRUD, for every menu item, we have 5 permissions by default. So access, basically seeing the menu item, and then creating stuff, editing stuff, deleting stuff, and then show is the show method in controller, so viewing stuff. Okay, so we have 3 rows now, and admin can edit anything, so any menu item from here. So countries, as I said, that's automatically created with countries list of 240 countries. And then jobs, proposals, they can add and edit anything. Thinking about it, I think we should leave some permissions for the candidate to see the jobs. We will use the same permission for job access, but we will differentiate that in the controller, so who sees what. So employer will see only their jobs and candidate will see every job. And now let's get to our code and let's put in registration form. Registration form can be accessed here. So in login screen, you click register and you see typical Laravel registration, and that's what is generated by QuickAdminPanel. And here we need to add a few fields. First, who is registering, employer or candidate, so we will make it a radio button. And then we will have 2 more fields, so country and about, so text description that we added. So let's do that. In the code we have register blade, typical Laravel thing, and let's add more fields. So before the name, even before anything, we need to know who is registering. So type radio role ID, remove that, this value equals 2, I think. 2 is employer, checked, let's make it checked, or candidate. So value 3 is candidate. Let's refresh the page. Oh, actually it cannot be checked as well. Let's see. Yeah, employer or candidate, it works. Well, it's not pretty, but you know, we can make it pretty. Actually, let's make it pretty. Let's make it a bootstrap thing. So row, and then divide it into 2 columns. So row, and then class call md6, which is half of the column. So this, and we add 1 more here. So something like that, and then here. Let's refresh the page. Employer candidate, not great, so let's make it 4, a little smaller ones. Yeah, great. Employer or candidate, we have that. Then we need also country. So that's at the bottom after password, so we need type, actually it's select from countries. So select name country ID, and then we don't need that one. So for each countries as country, and for each, and then option country name, I think. Let's check the database. Countries name, yep, name, and value is country ID. And where do we get those countries, right? So we need to go to register controller, and we need to override the form. So registers users, it should have the form somewhere, show registration form. So yeah, we need to override that in our controller. So show registration form in here. So countries will be country all. And we have that model already generated by QuickAdminPanel and compact countries. Okay. Let's refresh. We have countries. Of course, I forgot class form control. Yep, better. So Afghanistan, and then all the countries alphabetically. And then about me. So last thing will be copy and paste this thing. Okay, type. Actually, it's not even input, it will be text area. So text area, also form control, name about, placeholder about me, and that's it probably. Let's add this for error management if we have errors, and let's see, about me. Well, let's make it a little bigger. Rows equals 5. Okay, 5 rows. And now we have registration forms. So whether it's employee, now country, and about me. And now let's take care of actually saving the data. To save the fields, we need to go to our register controller and fill in those fields in create function, which is already created. So we go about, data about, and then country ID equals country ID. And for role ID, it's more tricky. So it won't be in the user table. It's a belongs to many relationship. So we need to have user. Then we will return that user as that function expects. But then we need to add user roles, attach as in belongs to many relationship, role ID. And role ID, we need to check that. We cannot allow role ID to be 1, so we don't allow admins to register. So role ID would be data role ID, but then we check. So if not in array role ID, then we add that we override it with 2, so it will be employer then. And yeah, that's it. Let's try it out. Let's try the register form. We go register. I will use form filler here, and we go register. And there will be probably an error. Admin, no, there's no error. We should land probably on the jobs table. So let's override the redirect to. Instead of home, it will be admin jobs. Admin. Right, let's check the database. New user, about field is filled in, country ID is filled, role user is 2. Twice, right, so we need to delete some functionality in users table. With registration module of QuickAdminPanel, we have some code that we need to delete. So by default, we assign code number 2 or role number 2, or actually configurable role, so we don't need to do that anymore, and actually we can delete all the constructor here. And let's try to register again, and let's try as a candidate. So we registered with employer. Now let's register with candidate, and we should land on jobs /admin/jobs. Yep. And then in the database we should have one entry. Yep, 7 user, role ID 3, and new entry with ID 7. So now we have registration form, and let's move to the jobs part probably. So here I am logged in as employer, and let's add a new job. And we have to change quite a few things in this form. This form was generated by QuickAdminPanel, but some fields we don't actually need. So employer should be filled automatically by session. Candidate should be filled only at the end when it's actually chosen. and then everything else is relevant. So let's go to our create form. So create blade jobs create. So we don't need employer and we don't need candidate. And same thing for edit form. Edit blade jobs edit. We don't actually candidate. This is relevant here. Candidate is fine, but not employer. Right. So we remove those. Let's refresh the page and see if they are gone. Yep. So we have only those, and then in creating form, jobs controller in creating method. In store, instead of request all, we should. Well, there are multiple ways to do that, but how I usually like to do that is assigning data to request and then do some manipulations if you want to. So data employer ID will be equals of ID. And that's it. Some attachments. Let's try it out. So actually, again, form filler, budget $3,000, for example. Delivery date is a date picker, so May, and we save. Of course, one thing I forgot is request. So store job request. Employer is not required, and that's it. So again, we click save. Yep, and it's saved, and it's fine, and it's kind of working. Candidate is empty. Attachments, we didn't do anything. And in edit, we can just edit the candidate. We will get to that soon, and let's try actually to edit the budget, and let's see if edit works. Again, in edit, we need to refresh the request and remove employer ID. We save, and it works. Now what we need to do is in candidate, we need to filter to have users only candidate, because now it shows even admin. So in candidates, it's probably in edit. So in create, we don't even need the candidates anymore and employers. So this, again, it was generated by QuickAdminPanel, but not needed anymore. In edit, we don't need employers either, but we do need candidates. Job load employer candidate. We don't need this one, and we don't need employers. We need only candidates and the job. So candidate, here we need to filter only the candidates with role ID 1. I think the syntax is where has role or rows. Let's see. Rows. Yeah, where has. Sorry. Yeah, where has roles and then function. Function query. Then instead of all, we will have get function query and query where role ID would be 3, the candidate. I think it's return. Yep, let's test it out. Edit the job and let's see if the candidates are showing. Yep, only one candidate. Awesome. So we filtered that out. What else do we need to do here? Let's go to jobs. Again, jobs list in view employer candidate attachments. Yeah, it's all okay. I mean, we can show an employer here. Final thing we need to do here is filter the jobs only by employer himself. So if I log in as other employer, I shouldn't see those. So let's actually test it out. I will load in Firefox. Okay, and in Firefox I register as employer, another employer. Okay, at least for some employer. What? Okay, some test. Okay, it doesn't matter. Register. I don't have form filler in Firefox, so I put it manually. Right, and as you can see, I see the job from another employer, which is bad. So in the jobs list, we should probably, instead of all, do job where employer ID equals auth ID, and then get. It should be empty now, the list. For some reason it loads. Oh, it's not ID. It loads pretty slowly in Firefox. Okay, empty list. But not even that, we need to add that to others as well. We could create global scope, but I don't want to, I want to save the time here. So edit is, we will do it another way. So if job employer ID not equals auth ID, we abort with 404. And that's it, and then same here and update. So I wouldn't edit or update someone else's job. Same here and same here. Right, so I guess we're done with jobs posting from the employer. So I can post job, I can edit that, and then I can choose the candidate. Now let's get to the candidate side and let's post the proposal for the job. Okay, so here we are in the second part of this video, long video, the freelancer part. And here I am logged in as a freelancer and I see job list, which is empty at the moment. And we need to separate the job lists for employer and for freelancer because, well, they see different data. But we will probably reuse the same URL, the same route, just put some if statements here and there. So for example, in our job controller here we have jobs by employer. And let's put something like this. If auth user is employer. For now, we don't have that functionality, but we will add it. Then jobs are calculated like this. Else, if it's an employee, then probably we need to check that candidate ID is null, that the job is not taken, is not chosen. And probably that's it. So where null, get. Let's refresh and we'll probably get an error is employer failed. And we go to our user model and we will add this. So I already have started is employer. We have relationships, many-to-many relationship between user and role, and this is how we will check. So if roles with ID 2 for this user is bigger than 0, the count, then we count that as is employer. And now let's refresh that. And probably we will get no error and empty list. No, not empty list. We have one job which is not taken, so candidate is empty, and we don't need to show employer and candidate. Well, employer we do need to show, candidate we don't need to show for the candidate. So this is where we need to add another function. So is employer and is candidate. And we will use that in Blade. Candidate and ID, role ID is 3. Now let's get to our jobs index. And we will not show that column if it's not candidate. So auth user is candidate, not is candidate. And if, and same with the TD, employer, candidate, and if. Let's refresh and see if that field is gone. Yep, it is gone. So we have these items. Now we need to add a button to actually get the proposal. So not to get the proposal, but to give the proposal. And in this case, job show, edit, and delete are not relevant because those are for employers. Else, actually, we probably won't use can. In this case, again, it's easier for us if auth user is candidate. Then we'll add another button. And this button will lead to new proposal, which is similar to this one. So proposal, global new proposal. We will add, actually, proposals create. Probably it will be proposals create, something like that. Admin proposals create, and as a parameter we will have job ID. And let's try what error we have now. Probably we'll have some error. Oh no, no error, just the button is not translated. So we go to global PHP. We go to proposal something, proposal fields. Well, let's put it here. Just create new proposal, and here proposal create this, and let's see what URL. New proposal create equals 1. Probably we will do it this way. So proposals create, and then job ID equals job ID. Okay, now let's click it and see what happens. New proposal. It is new proposal form, but we have job ID parameter, so we don't need any job here. Candidate, we don't need that, and we need only those other fields. So let's get to our proposal create, proposal controller. For create, we don't need jobs here, and we don't need candidates here. So that's one. Then proposals create. Here we don't need a job ID. Instead, we will have job ID as a hidden parameter. So type hidden, name job ID, value will be request job ID. I think this is the syntax, something like that. And we don't need candidate because it will be auth, and that's it. Okay. Proposal text, yeah, so that's all we need. And then in store, proposal store, what we need, store proposal, let's check the validation. So job ID is required, yes. Candidate ID is not required. Proposal text is required. Okay, that is fine. And then creating proposal, we will add plus candidate ID equals auth ID. Right, attachments, this is logic for attachments, this is fine, and then we redirect to proposals index. Okay, let's try it out. Let's fill in the form with some dummy data. Budget is something like that, delivery time is 1 month, euro for example, without attachment for now, and we should be redirected to proposals. Great, so that is working now, except for one thing. Proposals should be by candidate, so only my proposals. So we need to, actually let's duplicate the data into the database. Proposals, duplicate, and let's fake it so other candidate like ID 9. And let's see if we have 2 rows here, and one of them should be hidden. Yep, so candidate some employer, so this should not be shown for the candidate himself. Proposals controller, index, proposal, where candidate ID equals auth ID, get only those proposals. Right. Okay, we should see only one auth manager ID, auth ID. Sorry, I forgot this one. Okay, so I see only one proposal, and probably we don't need add proposal button here on top. So proposals index, we don't need that add here. It was automatically generated by QuickAdminPanel, but in this case we don't need. View, edit, delete, okay, let them stay, but we probably will modify that somewhat. So proposals, edit, we also don't need jobs and candidates. Proposal, edit, jobs and candidates, we don't need those, and we don't need those as well. Proposals, edit, so proposals, edit, blade. This. Again, we don't need job ID because it wouldn't change, and candidate ID wouldn't change either, so we just skip those two fields altogether. We refresh the form, and let's try to add some dots at the end, and let's see if it actually will be saved. Some validation, of course, validation stuff, we missed that part. So update proposal request, job ID should not be required, and candidate ID should not be required. So those two, and we save again. And yeah, it is saved, it is updated. And we can also delete that as well, but let's not do that for testing purposes. The final thing in this video is for hiring developers. So we get back to employer, and we see offers list, and we choose the freelancer. Now I'm logged in as an employer again, and here's my list of jobs, which is one job. Now let's implement the list of proposals here somewhere. So first let's clean up and remove that employer column because it's not really relevant. So jobs index, similar to the one that we had if is candidate. We don't need that field if is employer. Okay. If not employer, then we can show that for admin, for example. And we add the same sentence here. Actually, we can do a lot of such cleanups here and there, but I will spare your time that it won't be a full day video. It will be like an hour or an hour and a half. But if I see something quick, I can change that. Okay, so candidate is empty, so it's not chosen yet. And let's use the view button, which is show method, to actually see the proposals. Let's change the view into proposal title. I think it's that one. And in the brackets, let's show how many proposals they have. So job, proposals, count. And to do that, we will actually, I'll close other ones. So job controller, or jobs controller, job where employer. So here we need to add relationship with proposals. And let's check if it actually exists. Proposals, no, it doesn't exist, it just belongs to. So public function proposals, return this has many, proposal class, foreign key, proposal ID. It's optional, actually. We should skip the proposal ID, but just to make it consistent, has many proposals, which is already existing in a database. So I've added two proposals for the same job. So this job ID defines that relationship. And in proposal class, there should be probably belongs to. Yeah, so belongs to existed, and it was generated by our QuickAdminPanel, but has many wasn't. So we have those jobs here, and in the index, we're showing how many proposals are there. Let's refresh the page and see if it shows number 2. Column not found, proposal ID. Oh, of course, it's not proposal here. No, it's not this one. In a job, it's job ID. That's the column. For relationship, we have 2 proposals, yay. So we click here and we see the data for those proposals, for that specific proposals, for that specific job for now. And let's add another item, another panel. So proposal show, in our case, show. And let's add another panel. So this is the panel for job, and we will copy and paste that one, bootstrap panel. And let's add proposals. proposal title, I think this one, and let's get to our proposal. So we don't need a table here. Actually, we do need a title probably. Yeah, so let's keep translations here. Or actually, no, we can, that's where we can copy and paste some other parts of proposals index. We need exactly the same table. So, well, not exactly, but it's pretty similar. Okay. Copy and paste that table. So we don't need this one job here. So we need candidate. We need proposal text, budget, delivery time, and attachments. That's fine. For each proposal, so job proposals, proposal candidate name, and I think that's all we need to change. Proposal show, so this one will probably be changed, but let's try that. No proposals, because probably we don't load them. So show method, in show method for the job, employer, candidate, and we load proposals. Actually, I think it should be an array there. Let's try again. Still not showing proposals. Oh, of course, it's in. Wait, I didn't. Probably copied it to the wrong location at all. So yeah, proposal title. Okay, we delete that from show, and we have jobs show laid, and we need another table. So yeah, here will be a table, and we, okay, that's with div. Sorry, I've been doing this live coding in live mode. Yep, and it shows pretty well. So proposals, candidate is empty. We'll fix it now, but still, we have a proposal list with different data for the candidate, different proposal, or proposal text. So it's moved a little. Candidate proposal text. This one should be here. So everything is moved by one column. Right, deliver time and attachments, which are empty, and here we will have a button. So choose candidate. We don't need can here. Actually, jobs, probably jobs create or job create. And admin proposals, we need to have accept a separate route, or actually we can make it a form probably. No, let's make it a separate route. So job accept and a few parameters here. So job ID and proposal ID, job ID and proposal ID, and global job choose this candidate or hire this candidate, something like that. Hire this candidate, and probably here we hire the most appropriate word here. So global job hire this candidate, and let's create a route here. So in our routes web PHP, we create in addition to that, so route get, for example, route get. Well, it should be post technically, but I don't. Actually, let's make it a post after all. Let's make it a separate form, similar to delete one. So form, action, route, admin, jobs, update. Let's copy that from jobs, edit, this one. So these 3 lines. And we'll make it the same as it would be updating the job, because it's actually updating the job. That's the thing. So in temp we don't need that one. and instead of a link it will be a button. So input type submit. We don't need href here, and we need just value. So the value of this button will be this. Value of this button, submit, and that's it probably. Let's put it to another line. Hire this candidate, and also we need to have hidden method for which candidate it is. So input type hidden name candidate ID, which will be taken from proposal candidate ID. Proposal candidate ID. Right, I think it's okay for now. Let's refresh the page and let's see if we have a button. Hire this candidate. Of course, it's not translated yet, so let's get back to our global PHP and to jobs. Job, hire this candidate. Hire this candidate should be good. And now if we click it, we probably will get to job controller update, which will update everything by request all, which is exactly what we need. The candidate attachment will be empty, everything else will be empty, and we will be redirected to jobs. And that's exactly what we need. But on top of that, we need to update not only the job candidate ID here, so jobs candidate ID here, but also we need to update the proposals. So proposal should be approved or rejected, because we need to notify the candidates whether it's approved or rejected. So on top of that, let's do this one. If request, if is set request candidate ID, which won't be set if we just update the job, because remember we deleted that field from input. So if it does exist, then it means that the action is hiring. We need to update all the proposals. So proposal where job ID equals this job, and where candidate ID equals request candidate ID, update, and we update what's the field name approved at to be now just carbon instance. I think that would be the syntax. And let's check actually if we do have any approved at attribute. Oh, we do have those. We need to remove them. That's automatically generated by QuickAdminPanel for date formats, but we don't need date formats in this project. And so we update the proposal as approved, and we also need to update proposals where not equals. So not equals that candidate, we update rejected at as now. And let's try it. Let's try it. Hire Lee Burks, in this case, hire this candidate. Fingers crossed. Something was wrong. Oh, validation part. Okay, so we probably need the validation to be less strict. Update job, update job. Date job request. Probably let's make it all just empty. We will make it required, everything is required on creating the job, but for update job, let's make that array empty. And yes, we are redirected to the jobs. Candidate is Lee Burks. Proposals are still 2. And in the database, for proposals, we should see approved at for one and rejected at for another. And in jobs table, we see candidate ID is set. Then we can do the notifications for the freelancers, some emails back and forth, but it's probably outside of that admin panel project. So the final thing that I will do in this video is some cleanup. So we have a dashboard thing which is generated by QuickAdminPanel, but we don't actually need that. So we go to menu blade and we remove that dashboard. And also we will redirect automatically to jobs. So after login and after register, in login controller we will redirect automatically not to home but admin jobs, and same within register controller. So register controller, it should be redirected. Oh, it's already to admin job, so just log in. Let's test it out. We log out and log in with a user, which is the username. So for example, this one. Password is password. And let's see if we land on the jobs, and that menu item is gone. So yeah, that's it for employer. We have jobs menu item. For freelancers, for candidates, we have jobs and proposals. Actually, let's check the proposal. Let's log in as candidate. That's that Lee Bergs. And let's see if that proposal is still open. So jobs should be empty because there's no active jobs which are free for take. And proposal is still here on the job, and it probably, well, again, you can expand the platform to have messaging between clients and freelancers and all of that, but that's already like an hour inside of this video, so that's probably will be left for maybe version 2 of this project and version 2 of this video. But for now, that's all we have. I will upload that project to GitHub for free, and if you want to generate something like that and then continue coding, yeah, check out our QuickAdminPanel, which has new 2019 version, so 2019 QuickAdminPanel.com. The link is down below. And yeah, see you guys in the next videos of this YouTube video channel.